Who cares about that? On the blower, we've got Scott Seo from the Brumbies joining us. Scotty, how are you, brother?
Good, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you very much for joining us. We were just discussing Queensland Club Rugby. Who gives a shit about that? We've got you on the blower, mate. How's the body holding up after the last weekend? Obviously, you guys had a surprise loss to Moana Pacifica. Is there much chat around that leading into finals at all, or?
Oh yeah, I think after a tough loss like that, you got to take your learnings. So that's what today was about. Back at training, but full credit to Moana. They turned up on the day and wanted it more than us. And body's a bit sore from having to tackle a few big bodies, eh?
Can only imagine.
Obviously a big week this week, home final though. The boys must be pretty excited about getting back home and building into this week. How is everyone feeling after the last weekend?
Yeah, obviously tad disappointed, but as you said, we got finals footy to look forward to. Back at home in front of our fans. It's pretty cold here though. Triple layered at the moment, but should be a good atmosphere on Saturday night.
Yeah, Scotty, friends here, mate. How are you? Panicking again. But no, mate.
The worst interviewer.
I know, mate. I'm so bad. After the game, how was it? Mingling with the Pacifica boys. Did you guys have a bit of a prayer and song and all that sort of stuff? Are you guys loving that sort of, cultural stuff that's obviously getting more exposed into the mainstream sort of stuff, and you guys enjoying that sort of stuff, and then the injection of those teams?
Yeah, it's been unreal. Obviously, something different. They bring, a new vibe to the competition. Obviously, a lot of, Samoan, Tongan, and Fijian heritage and culture and tradition is built off the back of, song, which is, a big part of the community. So it's really cool to see it, up on the platform, the Super Rugby platform, and, being recognised and I guess just having teams like the Drua and Moana able to sort of showcase how talented those players from the islands are, and just to give them the opportunity.
Well, Scott, I want to ask you a question, sort of in relation to that. We were discussing on the show at the start. Obviously, the Tongan squad was announced last week with Izzy Folau-Feketoa, Augie Pulu, and Charles Piutau all named in it. I mean, that's literally just the start of these new eligibility rules. What are your thoughts on these new eligibility rules that allows players to represent a country of their heritage a few years after? Do you think it's going to be a real shot in the arm for the Polynesian game?
Yeah. I think it's it brings a lot of exposure first and foremost. I mean, some of the names that you rattled off there were real big grabs for for international rugby for the Wallabies and for the All Blacks for a number of years. And then I think the stand down period is a fair period. And I mean, if they still have sort of goals to play international rugby and they're not in the picture, and we can have some of the big names on the biggest platforms out there at our game's biggest stage, I mean, it's only going to benefit the game moving forward, isn't it? And for I guess world rugby, to keep growing as a sport, we want everyone to be competitive. And I guess if this gives everyone a bit more of a competitive edge, then I guess only time will tell.
G'day, Scott. Sfui here. Just wondering, you got any inside word on the Samoan team? Because it doesn't really matter, because Tonga going to smash them anyway. But do you have any inside word of any good players playing?
You must be cousins with Folau, my roommate.
Yeah, so I was telling him, don't play Wallabies this year. You come, you go play for Tonga. Don't worry about the Wallabies. I give you the money, then you give me the money back. But yeah, any good players for Samoa? You got the inside scoop?
Yeah. I heard Stephen Luatua, Lima Sopuanga, maybe Christian Lealifano might be putting their hands up. Jordan Taufua. That's what I'm hearing.
They pass the ball, you count to 10, and then I still hit you. So it's no problem.
Yeah, that's it. Just like the Samoan league team is going to smash the Tongan.
Oh my goodness, we're going to Hoka after this, mate.
Scott, just on that point, do you ever see it getting to a point like in rugby league where players are kind of shunning Australia and shunning New Zealand and going to play for their home countries? Do you ever see it getting to that point where it's just more about, all right, I'm going to go and play for my country of birth?
Oh, I don't think anything like that's going to happen in the near future. A lot of us still grew up in Australia and grew up in New Zealand and whatnot, and I think the biggest thing is for us as players still in the game is being role models and guys that the youth can aspire to. I think that was obviously probably a big thing was we didn't have many sort of PI faces to sort of look up to in the Wallabies back in the day, whereas nowadays was the representation across all the Super Rugby teams and throughout the Wallabies is pretty evident. So for a young guy growing up in Australia, there's a lot of guys to look up to. You've got in the backs, the likes of Hunter Paisami and Lenny Ikitau, Noah Lolesio coming through there as well, Pete Sumble in the forwards, Rob Valentini there too. So I think that's the big thing, and I think it was still, the dream to play for the Wallabies will still be at the forefront of a lot of young players' minds there. But things change a lot. We've seen how big of a change the last 2 years have been for the world. So I guess anything can happen down the track.
Scott, big fat Dars here, mate. Why is everyone laughing already, mate? You probably we've all seen the photos of Matt Giddo, Adam Ashley Cooper over there with the LA Guiltinis and their budgie smugglers riding their bikes down Venice Beach. Do you reckon if Matty Giddo in a couple of years put a little second seat on his bike, you'd want to jump on it?
Ride tandem.
Just over there in the MLR. That looks like a pretty good vibe.
Yeah, a lot of carry on, though, eh?
Yeah. It's all over. Very big on social media, aren't they?
Good.
Yeah.
Bit much, eh, mate? I don't know if that's my vibe, but I mean, America's pretty cool, eh? Obviously, it's pretty sad what's happening over there, but in terms of the growth of the game of rugby, you've seen America do that in leaps and bounds. They're obviously quite a big contender year in year out in the sevens, and they're going to host the Rugby World Cup. So I might time my overseas run to be over there during that World Cup.
Smart move. Can always come on tour with the PAC boys if you want.
Yeah, boy.
You can bunk up with Freeney.
My Ruby is a big fan of your merchandise.
Nice.
We might have to get on board there.
I think
Hell
so,
yeah.
mate.
Hope you like mankinis.
Yeah. Oh, no, mate. Love it. Thanks for the support.
You got any friends?
No, that was awesome.
Well, Scott, while we've got you on the blower, we thought it'd be good to get your insight as we preview this upcoming weekend's fixtures in Super Rugby, and obviously the quarterfinals. You guys are going to be there on the Saturday night, rounding it all out against the Canes. But on the Friday night, it's a rematch from literally a week ago. The Satyrs playing host to the Reds. The Satyrs dismantled them pretty handily last weekend. What are your thoughts on this? Who are you backing? And who do you think is actually going to win? Because that might be different to who you're backing.
Yeah, obviously, as a fellow Aussie, you always want the Australian teams to do well. It is a tall ask for the Reds boys, especially with Cody Taylor and Richie Mo'unga probably coming back to play, and playing in Christchurch is a whole challenge in itself. But I guess you saw, like we saw on the weekend against Moana, a team with nothing to lose and no expectations can be very dangerous. So, I think if the Crusaders take them lightly, early on, and the Reds can get some ascendancy and some momentum, they can put themselves in a good position. But, it is a tough ask 2 weeks on the road playing in Christchurch. I think the Crusaders will probably get up there.
Yeah, you'd have to say so. Dow, the Satyrs last weekend, they were just too good.
They were
clinical.
They weren't even at their best though. You know
No.
what I mean?
I forgot about
a
Richie
lot of
Milano
mistakes
and Cody
and-
Taylor.
Yeah.
Some key experience.
So did I.
Wait, they weren't even playing.
No. So
I
yeah,
know, arrogance of them to rest, eh?
Yeah. That's,
how dare they?
just-
One more week they should rest.
I thought it was going to be a bloodbath that the boys held in there and sort of come back towards the end, which I was pretty proud of.
Early on, it looked like it was going to get away from the boys, but they did well to stay in there in the end. I mean, only losing by, 10 or something, 13 or something like that, but still pretty handily dispatched. Then on the Saturday, the Chiefs versus the Tars. The Tars, we were just saying before, probably playing the most exciting brand of footy in Australia, and the resurgence they've had from, I mean, for lack of a better term, being shithouse last year to being absolutely red hot and making the finals this year. Who are you backing in this one? Do you think the Tars have got it in them to do the Chiefs at home?
Yeah, I do. I think, as you said, they've had the biggest turnaround in Super Rugby, if we're honest. Considering the results they've had last year, and they've built some really good momentum heading into the finals, and their styles are pretty similar. So I think the biggest thing for the Tars is who's going to win the collisions there. I think through the middle. There's going to sort of be a telltale to who gets the upper hand in this game. But no, I think they've got a good balance of running rugby and a kicking game. And I think it should be an exciting match.
So you're backing the Tars on that one?
Yeah, I'll back the Tars.
Yes, buddy.
Cool, got it written down. The game after that, we've got the Blues playing host to the Highlanders, 1 versus 8. I mean, the Highlanders lost on the weekend just to the Rebels. The Blues getting that last gasp win against the Tars. The Blues have well and truly been the form side all season. You'd expect this to be pretty one-way traffic in favour of the Blues, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Similar to the Reds game with the Highlanders, they've got no expectation, nothing to lose playing against another Kiwi side. Anything can happen, but the Blues in Auckland have been pretty tough to beat, haven't they?
They bash each other.
Yeah.
Mate,
That's it. That's
the
all we
Blues in
want.
Australia have been pretty bloody hard to beat as well. And then the final game on that Saturday, as I said, you guys are playing host to the Canes. I know, obviously, you guys are going to be backing in your boys to get the job done, as are we. But what's the game plan to be able to take down what can be a pretty bloody deadly Canes side?
Well, I mean, they're just littered with ball runners, aren't they? I mean, they can pretty much attack from anywhere on the field. So, how we front up defensively is going to be pretty important, and how we control the game at set piece there as well is going to help set that up. So, it's one of those, one of those things. It's knockout footy. The pressure goes up a little. Each moment tends to count a lot more. I guess you just got to be clinical for the 80 here, and I guess that's the biggest thing is playing for 80 minutes, which we found because if you give them a sniff, mate, they're all over you.
Can you please tell my cousin Falau to use his arms in the tackle? We are no longer in Tonga. We cannot run in with no arms, please. I tell him, don't worry, when I see him, I tell him myself, but he's not answering my phone call anymore.
Yeah, you just got a new phone, eh?
Don't worry, I
I'll
find
send
him.
you his new number.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no,
Doc.
I don't think he has. Don't think he has my Digicel number anymore. I've been asking him for
You guys got
100
Digicel in Tonga?
Yeah, we got it. Yes, not getting the money either. So you tell him to make sure he needs to call me. Call his uncle, okay? Thank you.
Tell him to slide in your DMs on Instagram.
Slide in my DM, please, Falau.
Scott, I just want to touch on Dan McKellar. And obviously you guys have been the yardstick in Australian rugby for the past, 5-6 years. And the influence that he's had on the squad. Obviously he's leaving at the end of the season. But just give us a little bit of insight in what he brings, to your program and how much of an influence he's had on the development of all of you guys kind of coming through.
Yeah, Dan and I actually first met in 2012. He was my coach at Tuggeranong Vikings there when I was playing club footy throughout that year here, my first year at Brumbies. And super detailed, eh? He's probably the most detailed coach I've ever met. And throughout the years, you can tell he's had a good grasp on the entirety of the game. He was quite a good assistant coach at that time with the Brums when he first joined the fold, and was kind of very good in his area. But I think he's, developed a really good grip on what the whole game plan needs to look like there as well. But in terms of coaches I've been involved with in the past, he never skips over any little detail. You can tell the work he puts in behind the scenes, through his preview and review in the meetings. So, it's been, great for me to sort of understand that from an analytical point of view as a rugby player, and help me sort of improve my game there. And, I guess having known Dan for so long, built a good relationship, good bit of banter there. As well too, being one of the elder statesmen in the team, I probably get away with a few jabs here and there in the day-to-day.
And is there a little bit more feeling in this final series, trying to send him out, as a winner?
Yeah, for sure. I think he's contributed so much now for would be 9 years. He's pretty much been involved. 9 seasons he's been involved with us here at the Brumbies. So. Sending him out as a winner is obviously a big goal of ours, and just like it is for a lot of the players leaving next year as well.
Oh, sorry, Scott. I thought Big Fat Das. Big Fat Das has a question for you, actually.
Yeah, of course I do. Can you actually pick up what's going on with the bottom of his shorts here? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing any jocks either.
Yeah, put your hand over it.
Yeah, we
should
can tell,
close
bro.
it up. Jay Boy panics.
Sorry,
Come
What
on,
is the
man.
PG? Which,
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Oh,
funny,
the
mate.
old Grundle Gusset. All right, well, Scott, thanks so much for joining us, brother, and helping us preview some of the footy upcoming. We wish you all the best for this weekend, mate, and hopefully you can get the job done against the Canes.
I appreciate you guys having me on. All the best of the week, and hope to keep in touch.
Bless
Sorry
ya.
for what?
Thank you, Scott.